survived the weekend. I will explain what that means here in a second. But boy, I told you guys last week about how I almost died by falling asleep at the wheel. This one was very different. It was very different.
Different kind of death?
Different kind of death, different reasons, and all sorts of things. But before we get into any of that, I'm here with my friend Allison Sullivan.
Hi,
Hello.
Taylor.
How are you?
So good-ish.
Yeah. So you said
Good-ish.
that. You said that because it's like how you're supposed to respond.
Right.
But this whole episode today is about us being stressed. So do you want to try again?
Yeah. The truth is that I'm a little weary.
Weary. That's a good biblical word.
Yeah.
So speaking of ish, so I heard a comedian the other day. I forget his name. Who was I watching? Oh, it was Myers, the late night show guy.
Yeah, okay.
Seth Meyers.
Seth. Yes.
And,
indeed.
Your husband's name. We know
Yes.
Seth, but not Seth Meyers. You're not married to Seth Meyers.
He's funny though.
He is your husband?
Yeah. You look skeptical.
I mean, he's really smart in a business.
No, that's why I fell in love with him. He makes me guffaw.
I think that
belly laugh.
Everybody laughs more when they're in love. You definitely think Seth is the funniest of all the people.
He's stinking funny.
Which is funny because, like, what?
You stopped dead in your tracks and was like, "Are we talking about the same person?"
I didn't know which Seth you meant, and I was going to be surprised if you meant your husband, and you did.
Yeah.
But I think
he's so funny that I'm surprised you're surprised.
So I'm in a men's Bible study with your husband. That
he probably pontificates there.
Well, he does, and so what happens with Seth? If we can be honest about this. Oh my God! I just broke my chair. I legitimately just.
I'm so glad that wasn't my fault.
No, it wasn't. I'm just too strong. I can't even blame my fatness on this one. That was my arm muscles.
If you're gonna break a chair, that's not the way to do it.
If you're looking on the video, if you're watching on YouTube,
look, it was bolted in there, Taylor. Jeez.
I have been working out recently.
Okay.
So maybe that's it. Anyway, we were making fun of your husband. Okay, so he's in the men's Bible study, and he shows up once a quarter. We meet weekly.
Yeah.
He shows up once a quarter, and he
swoops in.
He teaches us all that he knows, and then he swoops back out.
Uh-huh.
But there's another.
Drops some truth bombs.
Yeah, I'm the youngest person by far in that
pieces
group,
out
by at least a decade.
Yeah.
And there's one person in that group that is so funny. Keith.
Keith. Yes.
He's the person, he's the one in the group that shouldn't be funny, but I laugh consistently. I
love unintentionally funny people. They're my favorite kind of person.
Welcome to Forte Catholic. So anyway, we started talking about your husband. Oh, Seth Meyers. Ish. We're working backwards.
Right. Yes.
So he married a woman who was Jewish, and he was like, that's the only religion where you can be kind of, and it's the main thing that you want to be. Like, you're Jew-ish, right? So I would like to publicly say today that I, Taylor Schroll of the Forte Catholic Podcast, I'm Catholic-ish.
Oh.
I want to be one with our Jewish brothers and sisters. I almost said in Christ, but that's kind of the whole reason there's a difference. I want to be one with our Jewish brothers and sisters. From now on, I am going to consider myself Roman Catholic-ish.
Catholic-ish. Okay. I support that.
Is this you being unintentionally funny?
No, it's me being weary.
Oh, you're weary. Okay. Anyway, so we did not mean to talk about your husband. But what's funny is, literally as you walked in, I'm recording the show with you. Yet, I walked into my house and I hear Liv Harrison blaring like she's in my living room.
Right.
And I'm like, what is happening?
What?
Because I've been busy. Did I miss something?
Yes.
Did I double record?
Yeah,
You guys,
right.
Why is she in here talking to my wife? But instead, it was my wife watching the last episode on YouTube that I did with Liv, and she's laughing at every other thing that I say, and it's I think I'm funny, but I don't think I'm that funny.
Your wife is laughing?
She's laughing at every other word that me and Liv say.
That's wonderful.
Liv and I are funny people, but not
you are funny people.
Not every line though.
Well,
we haven't laughed at every line that we've said. We've laughed at every, sixth. I want somebody to go back and count. Ish, yeah. So yeah, I think that is a thing about marriage that we all tend to think. It's interesting because I think we think more highly of our spouse than anyone does, and less of our spouse than anyone else does.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know the whole truth, and so yeah, I mean that makes sense. It's like the highs and the lows, and you can't lop them off because the really low lows just lead to the really high highs. You got to ride it out.
That sounds more like your high school experience than anything else.
I don't know what that means.
Well, you can go back and listen to it, and I'll let you know when my wife watches and laughs. Okay, so this weekend was a big weekend, both for you and for me and for my wife and for my children. We'll talk about mine in a second. But you and Liv have both talked about this. The Genius Women's Conference.
Yes.
You were there. You were one of the speakers.
Yes.
It was, I think there were 2 major women Catholic speakers that were not at the conference. Everyone else was there.
Wow. Well, that's nice. Yeah, I mean, I still feel like spiritually hungover. Like I can't, like I'm puffy. The Holy Spirit gives me.
Is that what happens when you're spiritually hungover? Your eyes get puffy?
Yes, it's like my face is swollen.
I've been spiritually
headache.
hungover since I had my first kid.
The Holy Spirit gives me a headache. I think it's from trying not to ugly cry, like to trying to be socially acceptable, and so my little introverted self just needs to kind of recover for a week or 2. But it was awesome. It was what I love about the team that Liv put together is that there's no separation. So there's no separation between the speakers. Like there's absolutely no competition. We're all so differently gifted that everybody just gets to run as fast as they can in their lane. And then there's no separation between the speakers and the retreatants. In fact, at one point I was kind of apologizing to a person that was there. I was like, I showed up a little banged up ministry wise, and so I think that I was more needy than I thought I was. And so it's a hard place to go into being called to pour out when I felt like I really needed some nurturing myself. And so I didn't feel like I was 100% fully present to be nurturing other people. And so I was apologizing to a person. And she said, do you want to know what something that ministered to me the greatest was seeing you broken listening to other people's talks. She said, I needed that image because it's one thing, to see you with a microphone and saying wise things that of course I've thought about for weeks, it's not like they're just off the top of my head. I spent a lot of time in prayer, like coming up with this and reading words of others. And anyways, she was like, I needed to see that crumbly, snotty, broken woman. So it started out Operation, don't get COVID-19. And then we ended the retreat just covered in each other's like tears and snot and other things. So. Okay.
If in that case, you probably should have been a little bit more worried about the disease.
Yeah.
If you were covered in each other's snot.
all caution flew out the window. The Holy Spirit blew in.
Flew out the window. That was good. Unintentionally funny. It's Allison Sullivan.
Oh gosh. But it was like the Transfiguration. It was like after it was all over, we just want to set up a tent and stay there. And the Transfiguration was actually the reading. And so, and of course I'm such a Peter, I've got an idea. Like I'm always trying to lop off people's ears. I'm always asking, how many times do I have to forgive this person exactly? But it's like, let's set up a tent. Like, and then, while he's still speaking, it's like, nope, we got to go. We got to go love people. And so here we are, being sent back out, but I just need 2 weeks. Okay.
Yeah. I need 2 weeks as well for my recovery from the Genius Women's Conference.
Explain yourself.
Okay. So, this was the first time in my life of parenting that I did what I make my wife do all the time. I stayed home with our kids for a weekend by myself.
I cannot believe that this is the first time.
I was terrified.
And I am so glad that you have never uttered the word babysit.
Well, I've uttered the word.
Not in reference to watching your own children. That's not babysitting.
I did it with my first son in his first year. Like the first time I was with him for like 2 hours alone, because that was a big deal. The baby, whenever they're like that young, I'm not close with my kids until they turn like 1.
Yeah, until they can.
They're terrifying before that.
Yeah, well.
But yeah, this was my first weekend with all 3 of them by myself, wife gone the whole weekend. And this was coming off like everybody's listened to the show the last couple weeks. Like multiple people have reached out to me like, are you okay? And it's like, no, I'm not, but I'm getting through it somehow. But people have been very encouraging. And it was, so the end of my stressful 2 weeks ended on Friday. And so I led a retreat at the school that I work at Friday. Mm-hmm. And from that moment on, I was responsible for my children until until you brought my wife home.
Yes.
So I've never desired for you to drive faster than you were driving home. And I think I was so stressed about it. I think because I was super stressed, period.
Yeah.
And then like the big reveal is like, I loved it. It was fine.
Yeah.
Everything was great.
Yeah.
There was one bad moment that we'll get into. But I had all of them. We went out to dinner at a Mexican restaurant that I can't remember the name of.
Yeah.
And the baby, the 2-year-old,
Yeah.
said her like the most complete thought I've ever.
Really?
We're all sitting there. Me, the 2 oldest kids, and the baby. She goes, hey, look, to all 3 of us. And she's pointing.
And
hey.
she's trying to share a little experience with
Right.
you. Aww.
And she's pointing up at the TV that we didn't know was there because the sound was off and
Yeah.
we were hanging out together. She goes, hey, look. And once we all looked, she said, it's soccer, which is not a word that I knew she'd use. It was a soccer game on the TV.
Wow.
And then we all said, very good. She
That's
said,
so smart.
I like soccer.
Oh.
And I was so proud of her for this complete thought.
Yes.
And also so sad that she's a soccer fan.
There's time.
There's time.
We can talk her out of it.
Yeah. So anyway, so we the whole weekend I called in the cavalry. I've been getting cavalry and Calvary mixed up.
I do it all the time.
Recently.
I have to really think.
So
Yeah.
like Jesus, somebody typed it the other day.
Yeah.
And it was like Jesus died on cavalry.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that sounds like he was the warrior that they wanted. Like he rode in with a bunch of horses and
Right.
took out as many
Right.
bad people as he could before he went.
Conscious and conscience, I have to always think about.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Examination of conscience. Are you
Yeah.
awake?
Yeah. Mirrors under the nose. Yeah.
Wait, what? What is that?
Yeah, to see if you're breathing.
Why is it?
You put a mirror under the nose, and if it fogs up, you're breathing.
Wait.
This is an old person trick, apparently.
Why? I'm usually aware when I'm breathing. Why would I need a mirror?
No, other people, silly. Other people want to know if you're breathing. Like, is he conscious? Is he conscious? Let's put the mirror under his nose and see.
Well, like with my kids,
It's easier than finding a
see
pulse. Less invasive. I don't know.
Just see if their belly's moving.
It could be really shallow. You don't know. Listen,
Their belly?
Listen,
What are we talking about?
This is problem solving in the olden day. You always accuse me of being an old person, like I've got butterscotches in my pocket.
Do you?
I might. Little butterscotch candy. I like sugar-free.
You are an old person. I like how you set that up. You're like, you always accuse me of being an old person, and there was no but. But I'm actually super. You were like, you always accuse me of an old person, and I have butterscotch sugar-free candy. It's like,
Yes.
So I'm right.
Yeah, it's fine with it. I'm fine with it. I'm embracing 43. Oh, I'm only 42, actually. I forget. I have to ask Seth all the time. How old am I?
And then does he make you laugh with his answer?
Yeah, always. I swoon.
So okay, we're both coming like out of this stressful season, but there have been good things and bad things. We'll talk about that in the final segment. But
okay,
you were talking about rest.
Well, I think that Jesus. So he didn't maniacally go from one event to the other. I mean, they would be like, and so they walked to Galilee. Okay, well, that took 3 days.
Right.
You know, and so he's walking with his friends. They're processing. They are stopping for a long lunch. They're gathering at the well. They're sitting around a campfire at night. And so if we're going to model our lives after Jesus, I don't think that the intention is to, go from one high to the next. But we do. We live with such a hectic schedule and at such a chaotic pace, and we go to bed depleted by all the wrong things. And I just don't think it was his intention. By the way, when you hear those things, a leisurely walk or a long lunch or sitting around a campfire talking, that immediately makes us think of vacation. And so it's like we can't be bothered to do these things unless we're on vacation. It's like a 1 minute pause. It sounds luxurious. Wait, what is going on?
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I've shared this before. Like when I'm editing the podcast, like I'll do all of my edits where I have to be like actively listening, and then I'll mix everything down. That takes a few seconds for every segment or whatever. So it maybe takes 30 seconds total. And like during that time, I'm like trying to find a podcast
quiet.
to listen to.
Right,
And I hate the quiet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to be listening. I want to be fixing. I want to be doing. And so I've been trying to be better at that. And like to the point where like I'll be editing the podcast and like I'll pick up my phone and be like, no, bad Taylor.
Good. That's
Put
a good
your phone
discipline.
down.
That's
and
good.
then I'll stare into the void and think about how bad of a person I am. But another point that you're accidentally making.
How do you know?
Because I think I'm still thinking in my stress because you were like, Jesus walked from everywhere and it took 3 days. if you would have walked my wife back from Dallas and it took 3 days, I don't know what I'd do.
You wouldn't have made it.
I would have done. I can't say what I think I would do because I'd get canceled.
Yeah.
I think I'd punch you in the forehead.
I box Taylor.
I know.
I've got a really mean jab.
There are parameters. I might get in the ring with you. I'd put boxing gloves on. And what we would do to make it even. What I want to see. How long should I give you to try to beat me up before I get my one punch? How many seconds? How many minutes?
Do you really think you could get in a ring with me and outbox me?
Oh.
You really think that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
You have no idea. I used to fight like crazy.
Uh-huh.
Do you think you could take me?
Uh-huh.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
This is so inappropriate.
No, oh, my gosh. You have no idea. You have no idea who I am. This is great.
You don't know who I am. Oh, wow. This is great.
This.
We are. We have to make this happen.
And as long as
we're sparring.
Beat you up too much,
we are sparring.
I can't put a video up on the internet of me beating up a woman.
I know. You might have to. Yeah, you're going to have to show some restraint probably just for like, strength matching.
See, my thought.
Do you have that capability? Can you show restraint?
Yeah. Like literally my whole thought was, my initial thought was I would give you a minute where I wouldn't throw a punch.
Okay.
I would just block and dodge, and I'd let you get all your and then around a minute, I would just do one swift punch to the forehead.
To the forehead. Gosh, that's violent.
But again, this is only
because I'm going to get you in the liver. I'm going to take a body shot.
I have had liver problems for quite some time, so you're a smart woman. But again, all of this is only contingent on you walking my wife back from Dallas while I'm stuck at home with our 2-year-old.
Yes. It's exaggerating your responses.
But like the natural thing in me, I feel like I've just been challenged and I feel like we should fight now.
Yeah, I do too.
That would be so much fun.
I know. I'm kind of excited.
We're both stressed out, and I think this would be good.
I think it would be therapeutic.
And I think you punching me would be great for you. And I think me just running away from getting punched is what life is like anyway. So it wouldn't be anything strange for me. This would be fun.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. But for now, we're going to continue talking about stress and parenting and life. When we come back, we're going to be talking with my good friend, Theresa Zoe Williams, the reason my wife dyed her hair purple, and your becoming
I
friend.
support all of that.
We are going to be talking to her right whenever we return. So please, my friends, do not go anywhere. And don't worry. Allison and I aren't going to fight in between segments. This will happen at a later date. That we will
be very
let you know,
strategic and planned.
And I will try to do it in a way that doesn't get me canceled and ruin my career. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. You really think you could take me?
Yeah, I think I could get in a few good licks.
I'm 6'2", 260
yeah,
pounds.
That's what I mean. You've got a lot of advantages. You've got reach on me.
You could punch me in my belly 18 times and be like, are we fighting?
Yeah, I think you have obviously far more natural ability, and I probably just have more strategy and kind of training.
Your strategy better turn into running away real quick.
Yeah, because it's so easy to take somebody that's just... like an emotional fighter, it's like you just like land a good one, you know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, it's worth it.
Would your gym let me come in for one day?
Yeah.
That would be so much fun.
Yeah, I would.
Welcome back to Forte Catholic, where again, I'm listening to this in real time and it's bothering me. Like, all of these songs are real songs by my friend Brandon Morell, Be the Symbol, Catholic rapper. Every song that I've used on the show for the last 2.5 years has been from him. Go check out his music. And like when he's rapping, it makes sense. But because I've heard all these songs and every song associated with podcasts, it's like Conan OBriens' podcast. I listen to it 2 times speed. And one time, there's only one podcast I listen to at 1 time speed because I'm like, it's a comedy podcast and I'm working on comedic timing.
Okay.
And if you're double the time, you're not getting the timing, right?
Good point.
So I was listening to his, and then I heard the song on the radio. I'm like, no, No,
that's
it's
not right.
Half speed.
Yeah,
Please
yeah.
stop.
No, when I listen to myself in one time, I don't know how I have any friends. I don't know how y'all tolerate me.
So again,
I am only tolerable at 1.5.
So again, I gave you reasons to not listen to the show at 1 time speed earlier. Allison just gave you another one. So listen to this show at 1.5 speed. Plus, then that means you can go listen to more episodes anyways.
I'm always shocked when people who aren't like contractually obligated to love me listen to the show. So
My show or your show?
No, mine.
Oh,
but like anything to make me more tolerable is emphasized and encouraged.
I edit this show, so you sound great when you're on my show.
Okay, well, good. Do you speed me up?
No. I just take out all the dumb stuff.
Oh, good. Yay. Thank you.
I mean, I've never edited you before. You're perfect. You're lovely. I don't know what's better.
I know what you're talking about.
Making you look what's better? Making you look better in public or knowing that I take out things that there are things wrong?
No, make me look good in public,
exactly.
Taylor.
That's what I thought. But the way that I said it made it sounded mean, and I meant it as a loving thing.
Yeah, no, it is.
But what's new for me?
Yeah, well, I know you care about me way deep down.
Yeah. I was going to say something that I'm not going to. Okay.
Good.
So this whole show is about stress. And during the last segment, I decided the name for this show, which is strange to say because people that have been listening know it. But we were listening to a song, and I think best when I'm listening to music. And I decided we're calling this episode Punching Stress in the Forehead.
Good.
Because it comes to everything. We've talked about punching you in the forehead.
Yeah, that did happen.
And we've talked about stress. You're not the reason I'm stressed. But punching things sounds like a great way to relieve stress. And just so you guys know, during the breaks, Allison and I left parameters on our boxing match.
We'd have to level the playing field a little bit. But boxing is an appropriate place to display rage. So I encourage your use of the sport to feel your feelings.
That's why I coach Trek, because I just yell at them, and that's how I get my rage out. Okay, so I saw a video in the midst of my stress that almost made me cry. What was that?
Oh, man. It's kombucha or whatever, which tastes like carbonated feet, but I like it.
Why are you surprised how it tastes?
It just the first sip surprises me. It always shocks me. Like, whoa, there it is.
You've drank it multiple times in front of me.
I know. I didn't say the first time ever. I just mean the first sip of a kombucha is always a little like, whoa, I'm alive.
Is that kombucha means surprise?
In some language.
I was going to say, I don't have any idea what the word kombucha comes from. Yeah. Anyway. If you know...
I'm sorry. I feel like you were saying something deep. Let's not derail your one deep thought.
Well, that's what my co-hosts are for. So... what I want everybody to do is find Allison Sullivan, Allison M. Sully, on Instagram or on Twitter. Follow her, and also send her a public tweet or put it in your story and tag her where the word kombucha comes from this week.
Okay.
just bother her. That would make me really happy.
I'm like all kinds of stereotypes right now. I'm like my Lululemon pants with my kombucha. I'm kind of annoying myself.
No one called you out about your pants except you. So.
Okay. Moving on, shall we?
Do you think if I started a company for men called Lulu Lime, I would get sued by Lululemon?
I don't know, but that's brilliant. Did you just come up with that just now?
I came up with it while I was listening to music earlier.
Really?
No.
I
came up to it right now.
It's really good.
I think it's great.
I mean, I think
I'm stopping the show and I'm starting a new business.
Yeah, I want to start sketching right now.
Well,
logos.
I don't know anything about Lululemon. It's 3:00. Thanks, Jesus, for dying for me. That's my prayer thing.
You just got an alarm on your phone.
I did. So
look at you.
I know, I'm super holy.
Yeah.
I prayed for a fourth of a second on live radio. So we were going to talk about something else, and then we talked about kombucha. But stress and punching you in the forehead. Okay, that's right. I watched a video in the midst of my stress that almost made me cry.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And for a couple of reasons. Because I saw good qualities in myself and bad qualities in myself in one action. Okay. So there's this young man. It's a video that kind of went viral on the old social medias this weekend. And he walks into like a corner store, right? You and I just watched it. And there's a song playing, and that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But he walks in to the corner store and he finds like a little snack. It looks like a little, like cinnamon roll or something along those lines. Mm-hmm. He walks in. There's money sitting on top of it, like a couple of 20s. So he walks up to the cash register, and the guy at the cash register knows that the money's there. Mm-hmm. So he's like, seeing what he's going to do. He's filming the whole thing, just like to see what somebody would do if they found money in his corner store, right?
Yeah.
So the young man walks in. He sees the money. He's like, "Hey, man, like there's money here. It was sitting over here," and he like gives it to him. And he's like, "Oh, is that?" And the cash register like, "Oh, is that all you want?" The cash register is talking.
Yes.
Now. The man at the cash register. He's like, "Is that all you want?" He's like, "I'll take a coffee too." He's like, "It's on me. Thanks for being honest. Appreciate it." So he takes the coffee. He puts the $20 bills in the coffee cup. Gives him the coffee cup. Said, "Hey, it's all on me. Thanks a lot." And he walked, and the young man walks out, takes a coffee cup, takes his little cinnamon rolls or whatever, and walks out. And it has cameras to where he can see outside. And he notices when the young man walks outside that he opens up the coffee cup, and there's like multiple $20 bills in it. And he kind of stops for a second. The young man stops, and the guy's like, "Oh, I think he's gonna leave." And then the young man quickly walks back into the show, or something just happened on the recording. He quickly walks back in to the corner store. He's like, "Hey, you gave me the wrong coffee. There's money in it." Yeah. And he's like, "No, man, it's for you, just for being honest." Yeah. And the young man starts to break down. And right at the end of the video, and the thing that he says right at the end of the video that got me, he's like, "Thanks, man. I really needed this," while he's in tears. So I started thinking about it. I was like, okay, when I'm stressed, there are certain things about me, like certain good things that I will never compromise even when I'm stressed.
Yeah.
There are other things that I will. Like I am more sinful, less a good person whenever I'm stressed out for a long period of time, like I have been the last couple of weeks. So I watched the video and I'm like, my first thought is like, God, thanks for having a baseline for me. Like there are certain things that like I will not compromise on no matter what. And then also I was like, but like if money is a stressor, and you find money and you immediately do the right thing, and then you find it again while you're outside the store, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Would I go back? Would I move on? And it's like, I think I would come back. But like the fact that the young man, literally the video ends with, "I really needed this."
Yeah.
He was in a time where he was desperate for money.
Yeah.
And he had 2 opportunities to get free money. And he did the right thing anyway.
Because couldn't you convince yourself like this is a gift from the Lord? Thank you, Jesus.
It's funny. I think in this scenario, because I'm because like I think I'm a better Southerner than I am a Catholic. So the whole like honesty thing, I think I would have to come bring it back. Mm-hmm. But have I done that before? This is a sign from God. It's like, I have definitely done that, especially when I'm stressed.
So I think that I would do the right thing too. I have, how you're just. It's a really good life lesson. It's a really humbling life lesson to realize you're not going to be the smartest person. You're not going to be the prettiest person. You're not going to be the funniest person.
I have not had the realization on the first and the third. I've definitely been aware of the second.
But it's just a good life lesson to realize somebody's going to always be better at something than you. And so it's just nice to be well-rounded and celebrate people and just, I don't know, and just celebrate how we come together in collaboration because it's beautiful. Okay. Likewise, I showed up at this retreat, at the Genius Conference, really needy my own self. But because I was there to serve, I was praying over people. And I'm going to try not to bawl, but people are carrying such tremendous weight of things that they were never meant to carry. And so I realized that I had a couple of complaints. I had a handful of things that felt really heavy to me. And then you go and you pray with these people and it puts it all in perspective that, the brokenness that people are living with, the lies that they're believing, et cetera, et cetera. And so I think that I would look at that money, even if I needed it, and I would be very aware that there's somebody who probably needs it more, and I would feel that conviction to go put it back. Like, is this something that I would love to put in my pocket? Yes. Does somebody need it more than me? I know that that's a yes. I got to go.
And my answer would be different because I'd be like, there's not many people that need it more than me in this area. Now, if there was a young kid from another country where kombucha came from, he might need it more than me. But it does get harder when it's like business things, right? Where it's like there's somebody where it's a business, it's like, they have enough money, right? Like we used to do this all the time with.
Oh, sure. Mr. HEB is doing just fine.
Yeah.
You know?
Or like Napster. That was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
You remember Napster?
This just came up yesterday.
That's so
Isn't
weird.
That bizarre?
Nobody's talked about Napster in
I know.
15 years.
And literally, Seth and I were talking about this yesterday.
Was it funny?
Hilarious. So funny.
I wonder what the statute of limitations is. I downloaded a lot of music on Napster, and I was like, the music industry's fine.
It's fine. They're doing fine.
I ended up getting a music degree and working in the music business. I just I gave back. Eventually.
Right.
But it's like it was such an easy thing to do, and at the time it was like I wasn't stressed as a young kid, but I didn't have the money.
Right. You know, my mom equivalent is when you put a car seat in the buggy in the shopping cart, you put the car seat in there, stuff gets
Earlier you said I'm not old, and you just said the word buggy.
I never said I'm not old.
Funny.
No, I said I have butterscotch candy in my pocket. I did not say I'm not old. Okay, but so food, like whether your groceries can get stuck kind of under the car seat, and you don't really know because you're emptying out your buggy to put it on the conveyor belt, and then you get to the car and you put the baby back in the car and you realize there's some unpaid for things in your basket. And can I just tell you that Mr. HEB is doing just fine, and I only have the blood sugar to like walk to the parking lot once. I can't go back and make it right. I'm sorry, right. Mr. HEB.
I've done it. There have been multiple times where in that situation where I'm super like if I like. Because, surprise, I have taken my kids to the supermarket alone. Mm-hmm. That has happened
before this. You said supermarket.
Week. Yes, that's what it's called. It says.
Where are you from?
Literally says supermarket on the top.
I feel like that's north
Walmart
of the Mason-Dixon line.
Just south of the Mason-Dixon line.
Yeah. Anyways, but now that I've gotten some rest, I've gotten some sleep in the last couple of years, I would take it back. I would do the right thing. But at that point in my life, I'm like, listen.
I just go, look, I'll be back at Kroger.
I'll be back
in 2 weeks. I'll pay then. That's
something.
What I do.
That's what I tell myself.
See, I am a better person.
And
you know what? It was about this time last week that we realized that for the first time all show, John Blevins is a better person than me in general. But there was a moment in the middle of the third segment where I was like, maybe in this case I'm a better person than you.
I think it does volley. We just kind of... Listen, don't call me old because my vocabulary is better than yours. I feel like that's ageism.
It wasn't that you used the word. It's that you knew it would bother me. The way you said it, you were like, because of this volley. That's exactly how you said it. You knew it would bother me.
Volley like a valley girl.
I don't like you. Okay, so speaking of stress, I've been trying to get a hold of my spiritual life in the midst of all this stress, and it's not going great.
Yeah.
But I went to my spiritual direction. I go to spiritual direction once a month, and I just went yesterday. Mm-hmm. The previous time that I went, he walks in, we do our opening prayer, just kind of say, hey, how are you, whatever. And then we do our opening prayer, and we start spiritual direction. And he was like, so what's been going on? Mm-hmm. And I was like, everything's terrible. I don't like this, and this is going on, and everything's bad.
Yeah.
And we talked about that for 30 minutes. He's like, I feel like, we're talking about me beating you up in a boxing ring. I felt like I beat him up with my stress.
Yeah.
Because like 30 minutes in, he was like, has there been anything good? And then I started talking about all the good things. Oh. And I was super jovial, and I didn't notice the shift. He told me at the end, we're
cool.
meet for an hour.
Yeah,
50 minutes in, he said, do you remember about 20 minutes ago?
Yeah.
Like, he's like, I met with 2 different people today.
Wow.
And that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Right? Where it was like, you led with and started with all the stress. And like, to be fair, he is one of the person that I'm allowed to unload on.
Sure,
right?
Sure. No. That's the point.
But he was like, you were so focused on that you literally had to ask he had to have somebody ask you what's going on in this world.
Yeah.
And there were some great things that happened in the midst of the stress. And I was super excited about those. He said, it's time to integrate the two. Because your life is both. Yeah. But you, Taylor, are focusing primarily on the negative right now.
Might I suggest a gratitude journal?
I'm not journaling.
I feel like Theresa gave you a really good idea, about the way that she is carving out space. She's doing something that can be meditative. So for you, I saw you just sink into that song. If there's a way for you to kind of create some quiet and listen to music, and it's recharging.
Yeah, and I've been doing more of it here recently, where like my stress relief has always been video games, and I haven't really played video games in a month and a half, which is wild because usually people are mad at me because I played too much.
Yeah.
And now I've played none or very little, and so that and music. Like usually I listen to podcasts because I always want to be gaining knowledge or having fun. Like those are my two different types of podcasts. But music, it feels like I'm not accomplishing anything.
Sure.
Unless I'm listening to a new album.
Yeah.
Like when I listen,
and that's rest. And we need it, you know?
So
like Jesus slipped away into the mountains and he didn't ask permission to go do it. He didn't leave anyone on call. He just obeyed this deeper rhythm where he knew, I need time alone with my Father.
Oh my gosh, I just realized Jesus was the first person that said, all right, I'm going to head out. They're all doing miracles and he's like, all right, I'm going to head out. Goes to pray by himself. That's awesome. But yeah, so and then I met with him yesterday, and it was funny because I think I learned my lesson. He said, "What's been going on?" And it was an even more stressful month than the one before, which is wild. Mm-hmm. And he was like, "What's going on?" And I said, "Well, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like it's all there."
Perfect.
Right?
Yes.
And I was in much better spirits throughout our entire meeting, even though, and it was fun. Like he noticed a change, I noticed a change. Yeah, so I think...
And that's that call to take our thoughts captive. You know, I mean, we are what we perseverate on. You could absolutely...
Okay, you finally said a word I don't understand. What the heck is perseverate?
When you persevere in a thought, when you persevere...
There's no way that's a real word.
Perseverate.
I couldn't even say real word correctly. There's no way that's real.
Perseverate. Look at... I do it now. Come on. It is. It's a word.
Keep talking. You don't know how to vamp.
You want me to spell it for you? Because
sure. Oh my gosh, it's a word.
Yes.
A verb for psychology. Repeat or prolong an action, thought or utterance after the stimulus that prompted it.
It is so fun.
Well, I've for the first time.
I love making Taylor feel stupid.
Well,
it's my favorite thing that I do.
Show is over. We're done. Love you, Allison Sullivan.
Go perseverate on being dumb.
I'm done. Love you.
Love you, Taylor.